Okay, let me just go to a question. Keep throwing your chat up and I'll try and intersperse it. Heidi sent me a question beforehand. I know Heidi is here, so welcome, Heidi. Question was, Adrian, what were your financial prospects when you first started your journey to your millions? Were you ahead of the game or behind? I think I answered that for you before. I was $30,000 behind the game, no career, no job, no prospects, and only the idea of a business and a customer list, and somehow made that into something. I've also answered your second question is when or if you take a huge loss. Oh, here you go. It's a pretty good question. When or if you take a huge loss, what steps, if any, do you use to get yourself back on track? Secondly, how do you evaluate what you did wrong? Well, the first thing you do is, let's say you're making a stock investment, you try and limit your losses. And there's two ways to limit your losses in stocks. One way is well, three ways. First one, don't buy a dog in the first place. So buy a company that's undervalued, and don't buy a stock unless you know how to value a company. Because if you buy a stock and you don't know how to undervalue the business, then you're just speculating. And if you want to speculate, that's great, but you open yourself up to loss. That's step one. Step two is you could take a put option on the underlying stock, which means to buy an option called a put, which means that somebody else will guarantee to buy the stock back from you at the price that you bought the put at, which would usually be the current price of the stock. They're betting that the stock is going to stay up or go up, and you're paying a small premium to ensure that if it does go down, some other bunny will take the stock off you and pay you back the price that you paid. Uh, put options Put options are reasonably expensive to use as that form of insurance. And the reason why I don't tend to use them is I don't buy a stock that I believe will go down. I'm buying shares in a company that I believe is undervalued and will go up. Having said that, though, I do put a thing called a trailing loss in. And the trailing loss, I set at usually 5 to 10%, maybe 8% behind the current price of the stock. What a trailing loss means is that if the stock starts off at $10 when you buy it, but goes up to $15, then the trailing stop will move up to being set at 10% or 8%, whatever you set it at, behind the $15 price. If it then goes up to $20, the trailing stop will make sure you don't get out of the stock if it drops back to, say, $18. So it gives you some form of protection. Just be aware, though, a trailing stop doesn't guarantee you against dramatic loss, because if there's a crash in that stock or a crash in the market, it can jump below the price you set and then drop you out at whatever the next buyer is willing to pay. And look at what happened to Bear Stearns. They had a stock worth $148, then all of a sudden it was worth $2. And that's the price you would get with the trailing stock. Exactly, Mark, like Bear Stearns. We think alike.